Hello, everyone, and welcome back to our podcast. I am Chris, joined by my brothers Adam and Eric.
Hello.
Hello.
And we are back in the room to talk more about video games. And in this episode, you might be able to tell, if you're on YouTube and you're watching us, you'll be able to tell by my background and Adam's background and Eric's blinds, that we are going to finally talk about Ghost of Tsushima in this episode. But before we get into that, there's two things I wanted to say about some previous episodes we did before we get into Ghost of Tsushima. Okay? One of them is because I feel really bad. When a couple of episodes ago, we discussed video game movies, and I completely forgot to give a shout out to the Silent Hill movie.
Yeah.
And I feel bad about it because I actually really liked that film.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
The Silent Hill one's good. The second one, not so much.
No, the second one. No.
The first one's actually pretty true to the games.
Yeah, like visually, it's pretty good. And
Yeah.
they even use the music from the game, and it's like, oh, nice fun.
And some of the same camera angles as well, like so.
Yeah.
They're quite relatively true to Silent Hill games.
Yeah. Again, not one for one story, but yeah, Silent Hill, the movie, is actually not a bad video game adaptation. The other thing was, when we were talking about The Last of Us Part 2,
Yeah.
and we were wondering why the thing down in the basement, spoilers, is called the Rat King.
Yeah.
Remember that thing? And Danny, who was on with us before for the Metal Gear Solid 3 episode, sent me a message there last night, and it was that apparently, and he did say, look, I don't know if this is true. I've looked it up. So if anyone knows this to be true or not, and you're watching this on YouTube, jump into the comments to let us know. But apparently a rat king is a term given to when rats, like actual rats in sewers, their tails get like caught up into a knot so bad that they have to survive together as a single organism. And there was
that's fucking cool.
a picture with it, and it's really manky. It's horrible. Just like loads of tails like knotted together horribly. Because like rats are always climbing on top of each other and stuff.
Yeah.
Apparently that's a term for when you have a clump of rats stuck together that then have to try and survive together. And that's where the name supposedly...
That's weird that wasn't in the Plague Tale.
Oh yeah. That would have been
that would have been well, I mean, maybe they do that. You're able to, like, I don't know, turn them into a weird rat tornado. Maybe that's what the rats do.
Yeah. That's
really cool. That's a cool
cool
term.
bit of info.
Yeah.
I thought.
Yeah.
So I want to share that.
Well, that whole section with the Rat King and the design of the Rat King was fantastic.
Wonderful.
So good. I was absolutely shitting mics. I'm not gonna lie. It was fucking terrifying.
So if that's true, if you know that to be true, let us know. Or if you know if that's bullshit, that someone wrote after the fact or something to try and just, I don't know. Do let us know. If you're watching this on YouTube, by the way, as the discussion goes on, please jump into the comments to join the discussion. But you can also listen to us on the go on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. And follow us on social media at The Brothers Take on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. But for now, today's discussion is going to be what we're calling an initial review of the Ghost of Tsushima. And what that means is we are all at different points in the game. We haven't finished it yet. It's a big game. It's a long game. There's a lot going on. But we don't want to not talk about it because we're all really, really excited about the game. I won't lie there. We've been talking about it amongst ourselves. We're really enjoying it. And so we want to do an initial review, which is where we'll talk about the sort of non-spoiler stuff about the game, gameplay, the graphics, what's like impressing us, which we would normally do in a review anyway. And then we will give a heads up about spoilers just in case you are someone who hasn't played the game yet. And if you're in the middle of the game, we'll let you know up to what point we're going to talk about, which is Act 1, right? We'll talk up to the end of Act 1 of the game. And later on, when we've all finished the game, we will then do a final review, which is the overall game, how we feel about the game now that we finished the story and all that stuff. So that one will be more spoiler heavy than this one, but we will get into some spoilers in this one. That makes sense, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Let's burst straight into it.
2000. That's it. That's it. Like,
And
now
yeah, but
spoilers.
Ghost of Tsushima is okay. Actually, you know what? I'd like to come to
Kind
Adam
of good.
first,
Not
right?
a big deal.
Because I know earlier in the year we were talking about games we're kind of anticipating or excited for, and I know that me and Eric were more excited for Ghost of Tsushima than you were. So I'd like to get kind of your general take first, Adam.
Yeah. Okay. So when I first saw it, it did look stunning. It looked like a really visually impressive game, but I just wasn't 100% on what the gameplay would be. I wasn't sure whether Jin as a character in that initial trailer was enough to kind of carry a narrative. I still feel maybe he isn't as strong. Like I feel he's a little bit like Aloy in many ways.
Right.
It's like what makes him interesting is him kind of learning about the people around him as opposed to him as a singular character, similar to Aloy. But visually, it holds up to that initial trailer, I think. I mean, the trailer, I think they managed to tweak it to get it to its absolute maximum in terms of quality. Obviously, they were able to do that because this has procedural. Well, it's like real-time weather, daytime and all that kind of stuff.
So I can think of what you said. Nighttime.
Daytime.
Sorry.
It's very much like that.
If you haven't played the game, it's exactly like that.
With a sword.
You say a sword?
A sword.
You have a really cool sword, guys.
Yeah. But yeah, I just think it's so hard to not engage in photo mode or screen record or something because the game is just so beautiful.
That's why none of us have finished the game, isn't it?
Well, I'm not in a hurry to finish it. I'm not like I don't think the main story is necessarily that compelling to want to rush it. Not in the sense of something like The Last of Us, for example, where you're wanting to see the conclusion.
Yeah.
Because I think what makes Ghost of Tsushima incredible is just the exploration side of things. It's doing side quests and unlocking new skills and new kind of what they call vanity gear, which doesn't do anything other than make you look cool, but it's great getting them and composing haikus and shit. It's
what the fuck,
it's really cool. I think this is PlayStation's kind of version of Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, I've heard that comparison before, actually. You're not the first one to say it. And do you think that's something to do with the wind helps that kind of?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Comparison,
it's
doesn't it?
the nature is the main character in this, I think. The environment, and yeah, just the use of just the presence of the natural world in this game is so strong.
Yeah.
Whether it's the winds guiding you, everything moves in this game. The grass moves, the trees move. You follow birds to secret locations. You can follow foxes to little dens. The thunder in the game is really overpowering, really strong. Rain is really heavy in it as well. And when the sun beats down, everything just looks beautiful. It's nature is so present in this game. And I think that's what makes the game really stand out.
How about you then, Eric? You were excited for Ghost of Tsushima.
Well,
were you more excited for it than you were for some of the other games that came out this year, or you were?
Yeah.
Was this your most hotly anticipated game,
Um,
or was The Last of Us 2 more so?
I'm not gonna lie, The Last of Us 2 was kind of my least. It was the game I actually wasn't that excited for.
Oh,
because
okay.
for me, I was like, oh, Last of Us 2, it's going to be amazing. I know what I'm going in. That's fine. So Final Fantasy 7 Remake, it's oh my god, it's, what am I going in? There's new shit in this. It's going to be amazing. Ghost of Tsushima. I've said it a few times before. I've been waiting years for a samurai game, and they just kept not giving me that. And then Ghost of Tsushima, and I was like, hopefully this is it. It looks like it's going to be it. And they did not fail me one bit. So fucking good. Like, I just
It's nice
everything,
to see you
everything.
definitively passionate about an actual game rather than just going, yeah, it's fine, it's good, yeah, it's good.
It's
yeah.
good. Like, granted, it's a No, this like hot spring, like just a little shit. I was like, going to a hot spring. I'm like, yo, and then you reflect on shit. I was like, that's fucking awesome. That's great.
Yeah, it is good though. It is cool.
Great.
It's all the little stuff, like following the foxes. Yeah, as Adam said, to the shrines, and then you get to pet the fox afterwards, like a little thank you. And the fox is like super excited. He does a little jump because he's like, "Yay, I helped you!" And he waggles a little tail. I was like, "Oh my god, the fox is alive! This is such a cool fox. I want a fox." I'm not gonna lie, I do want a fox. The first time I ever composed a haiku, I was like, "Oh my god, this is like." Just when you kneel down, you take out the sword, you place it down so honorably, and then the music plays or the humming, and then you just like pick different areas in nature, and that'll like give you different sentences to write and everything. So cool. The pillar of everything is so good. The standoffs, like, I could talk every little bit of this.
Well, we'll get it. We'll break it down more and more.
But like, yes, even like just. Even all the different outfits. There's not a single outfit in it that looks crap. And then you can upgrade the outfits, and they still look good. But then, because each of the outfits, I think, gives you benefits as well.
Yeah.
But then what you can do is, like, let's say, I don't know, you're like, oh, I'm not particularly happy with the outfit looking, having, like, too many layers of clothes for some reason. So you want it to have you want it to look like it did at the start. You can just press, like, triangle if you're playing on the PlayStation 4. And it will cycle through all the different versions of that outfit, which makes that one outfit be 3 different outfits.
I did not know that.
I didn't know that either.
And it still keeps all the benefits.
By the way, I love that you said if you're playing it on PS4, because you can only play it on PS4.
Yeah, it is an exclusive, which is weird. It doesn't feel like
an exclusive at all. No, I agree.
Yeah,
I agree. It doesn't feel exclusive. It's interesting.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like those first-party
games
games
eventually, because Horizon Zero Dawn did.
Probably.
I feel like it will.
I actually don't think so.
Really?
No?
Yeah.
I feel like it will go to PC eventually.
See, I think the reason Horizon went to PC was to Death Stranding did, right? And both of them use the same game engine. Ghost of Tsushima, as far as I know, doesn't use Decima.
Okay.
But it made sense for Death Stranding because I think it will do better on PC than it did on PlayStation. But I think the reason they might have brought Horizon onto PC is one to build up hype for Horizon 2. But the other reason I have absolutely no evidence for this, but I just have this sneaky suspicion that Sony are going to use that as an opportunity to demonstrate, like, okay, this is how Horizon runs on a PC that's like matched to the specs of an Xbox, let's say, right? Because there's no direct comparison. They can't go PlayStation 5 is better than Xbox, right? Because on paper it doesn't look it. Even though like the SSD sounds like it's going to be more beneficial. But they could go, here's a PC to the spec of an Xbox running a game that's on a PlayStation. And then here's how it runs on a PlayStation 5 and show that it performs better because of the custom SSD. That's my sneaky suspicion.
That sounds a bit... I don't know. I have a feeling it's like, a lot of people are asking for this on PC. Maybe we should release it on PC. And
no one was asking on PC. It was doing so well on PlayStation. It made no sense to bring it, other than marketing reasons.
Someone must have.
Well, maybe but not it's not a big enough demand to actually it's really confusing to it's a very confusing move, and I think it's purely marketing. There's no financial reason to do that because they were selling consoles. It was selling consoles.
Okay.
So I don't think Ghost of Tsushima will come to PC. It might, but I don't think it will.
What do you think of the game, Chris?
What do I think of the game? I actually, it was in my top 3 anticipated games. It was spot number 3 for me only because, it's the new IP. We knew very little about it, but only from like that initial trailer where I think he was on the horse running in a field. and just seeing the light on the nature and going, and the fact that there was like very little of
UI like.
UI. Like, you know, you couldn't see like a life bar or any of those kind of like.
Mm.
I love that minimalist approach. The less you can show of that stuff, the more immersed I will be.
Mm-hmm.
And we're getting more and more games like that where they're finding clever ways of like the stuff will only come up in combat scenarios and then go away when you're traversing. And just seeing that, I was like, I know nothing about this game, but I want it. And I know I want it. And then playing the game, I enjoyed the start, and I said this to you, Adam. And then I was not feeling it, actually. And I was going, what's wrong with me? Because everyone is talking about how incredible this game is, and I'm like putting off playing it. I'm not feeling the urge to get up in the morning and put it on like I was with Final Fantasy 7 Remake and The Last of Us 2, where I was like, as soon as I get up in the morning, I'm putting that on, and you know, I can't wait to finish work so I can get back into it. And I was like, what the hell is going on here? Because everyone is saying this is incredible. And even there was a message in from you, Adam, said, I cannot put this game down. I was going, I can't pick it up. What's going on? Until, I think it was until I did, there was like a main mission that I'd put off. Because I was like, I'm not really compelled by the main story, and the side quest stuff is more interested. But I'm still not really getting into this combat. I don't know why I put off this particular main mission, because it unlocked the ability to assassinate.
Yes.
And as soon as I could assassinate, I was like, okay, cool. So I can sneak around and assassinate now. So now I don't feel as overwhelmed by everyone. And then as soon as I did that, I was getting technique points. Then I was getting more and more moves and abilities. And now I could walk in like a badass and take on everyone. And as soon as all the options opened up to me, I was like, oh my God, this is unbelievable. And then I was getting really into the exploring, and then I was getting really into the side quests. And yeah, the game is fucking incredible. It's basically what I'm building up to say. At first I wasn't feeling it, and as soon as all the kind of RPG elements opened up and these really, really interesting side quests, and seeing how intricate the actual natural world is, yeah, this is a fucking this is a fucking amazing game.
That's another thing I love about it, is that it doesn't just go, oh yeah, here's the world, go explore, here's everything. That it just slowly introduces everything through a story aspect.
Yeah.
At first, that's one of the things that actually was putting me off at first, which is, you know, very first the title sequence, and you're running through this amazing field of flowers, and then the title comes up, and straight after that I happened upon a Mongol territory, and they're all trying to kill me, and I had to run away, and I was like, oh man, like, is this like fucking, you know, you're straight into a world that you're not ready for, and if you don't go to the right areas, you're fucked, kind of thing. And man, like, ease me in, please. But that was the only time that actually happened, was just there at that moment. And since then, I have always been ready for anything that I've gone into, and I've been able to avoid any scenarios I don't want to do. And that was really just me not understanding the wind guide system at first and going the wrong way. So I stumbled into, you know, because yeah, at first I was like, is this like, here's the map, go look for stuff to do? And I was like, oh shit, man, it's not that at all. And actually, when you get into your menu system and see all your quests laid out for you, and just pick the one you want to do. Today I'd like to do that story. It's so good. And then seeing even the title of the quest come up on screen, I fucking love it. It's so good. I get kind of a feeling of, I mean, I'm sure I can see lots of influences in it. I'm sure The Witcher is a big influence on it. But I get a feeling from some of the side quests that I haven't had since, like, Mass Effect 2, where, you know, you're like, even like there's side quests with certain characters that are reoccurring, and it's like their little loyalty quests to keep them on your party. And then I also get a feeling of like Skyrim level side quests.
Yeah.
Where it's like there's many levels to these side quests, and they are fully fledged stories in themselves. I haven't experienced any shitty fetch quests. Like, the side quests are actually really good.
And what I like about the side quests actually is the close proximity. I think in terms of in some cases it's kind of like, this is really stupid, dude. Like, there was a quest where there was a guy looking for his dad, for example, and he was literally just up the hill at his house. And it's like, you could have just went home. But there he is. Like, but so in terms of realism, it's a little silly. But in terms of just game play, it's fine because you can. There's so many of them that you can just bash them out like really quickly.
Yeah.
It's like, it's literally, the objective is just down the road. I can do it, finish it, and it's fine. Instead of having to go, oh yeah, your objective is on the opposite side of the map, which happens sometimes, but it's not like, it's very few quests. Yeah, very few quests that make you do that. Which I really like.
I do as well, because you could find, like, it's like, okay, I have an hour to play Ghost of Tsushima, and then I have to do whatever it is I have to do.
Yeah.
And you go, okay, cool, shall I bang out? I get that quest and that quest done. Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
And you know that you're not about to launch into something where you're like, oh, why the fuck did I start this? Which you get in some games where you're oh man, I really don't have the time to actually engage with this right now, or get in any way invested.
Yeah,
so
it's actually well balanced for like a busy lifestyle, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it is. There's like, let's throw on a bit of Ghost of Tsushima and do a couple of samurai quests. Yeah. So let's break it down then a bit. So again, we won't go into the kind of story spoiler stuff yet. But gameplay, actual gameplay, the combat and traversal, what do we think of it?
Amazing.
Next.
I agree that I found particular. Okay. Yeah.
Oh wait, what did you say to me?
The fuck you said?
What was it like? Sorry.
I get through that screen, man.
Do you want to stand off?
Do you want to stand off? Hold triangle there. Let's see what happens.
I am so bad at them recently because
really?
I'm on like
same.
Yeah, like the enemies actually
they get difficult.
They get real difficult.
They get really difficult.
Oh, okay.
Just to let you know. But they're amazing. I just love
tip I was told early on was to always look at their feet.
Yeah, it kind of depends on the enemy though.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they're a bit like and then they go like and then they just.
That's what I mean though. If you look at their if you look at their hands, they'll throw you off. Look at their feet. It's when their feet move. That's when you go.
But there's I don't know if you have standoffs with Ronin in it. Have you done that yet?
Not yet.
Yeah, they're hard. They are hard.
Oh, is it like you could be looking at the one guy and it's actually the Ronin at the side you should be looking at?
No. It's just that because Ronin are ex-samurai, so their technique is the same as yours. They're not as brutish as a Mongolian.
Oh, okay.
So their sleight of hand and like their feint attack or an actual attack can be hard to discern, really, because that's what samurai are known for, is a single cut kill.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So yes, standoffs in general, fucking awesome.
They're really cool. And when you fully upgrade them and everything like that, it's so when you go from one enemy to the next, it's so satisfying.
Yeah.
I love that it's an option too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Like I love that. Like there's very few. Like I was kind of worried going into the game that there's going to be, you can either go down the samurai path or the ghost path, or that there would be very specific. Like there are certain bits of the game that's kind of like, oh, you need to stealth this one, but it's not all. It's not like it's very few times that actually happens. So it really is up to you. You can kind of go, no, I'm going to take this honorably and fight head on, or you can stealth it. And I love that it gives you that option.
I do as well. I'm a big fan of stealth gameplay. It's like I was saying, once I got Assassinate, the game became immediately more enjoyable for me. And only because I was afraid to enter big Mongol territories early on when I didn't have many skills or many weapons yet. But knowing that you could sneak through and take out a few of them before you decide to, okay, now I'm going to go out kind of guns blazing, so to speak. It just made it more like, now I actually want to get into combat, because I was like, okay, well, if all goes wrong, I can, sneak and get into the tall grass and then spread them out a bit, So
it's a bit like Final Fantasy VII Remake in that way, that you're kind of looking for a fight.
Now I am, yeah. Now that I have the options, I am. There's definitely, I feel in the gameplay, like plenty of RPG elements.
Yeah.
That I really like. Even like the thing of like you have slots for charms, and different charms will give you different abilities, and you know nearly every mission will reward you with a charm, and then you can decide what's more important to you, and you can change them around. So it's like if you want to be more of an archer, you can get your precision charms, or if you want to be a straight up swordsman, you know you can get your whatever stronger attacks, or it's definitely like we're going to give you plenty of options, and then you as a player can decide how you'd like to play the game, and that's awesome.
I really like the quick fire items. So like
like the kunai and stuff.
Yeah, just like say you just like blocking someone else, then if you see like there's other people coming at you, you can just throw some kunai very quickly, like you don't have to aim or anything. Which kind of reminds me of like the Arkham games.
Yeah.
You know, when you like just surrounded in Arkham, you like a bunch of people, then throw a couple of batarangs, then just keep fighting.
Yeah.
Which is just class. So good. Game's so good.
Is there anything about the gameplay that doesn't sit with anyone, or?
There's not more of it. No, because I even like the climbing. The climbing is simplistic but yet effective.
Yeah.
You know, like it's not really. There isn't really anything. I even like that because you know if you can find different swords, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I like that there's no stats with the weapons. So that's just like
it's
another
just
it's just another cosmetic thing, which I like.
I am definitely more interested in when you can upgrade your character with like skill points or techniques or whatever, and then everything else is just cosmetic. I actually hate. I pretty much hate when in a game a piece of armor or a certain weapon is going to make you the strongest, and you have to wear it basically to win, but it looks terrible. Like it's a strange thing, I know, but it's a real grime. Like and it was another thing actually we talked about in 7 Remake, which was that you could learn an ability and then use it with any sword.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that,
So by the end of the game, you could still use the Buster Sword. You know, you didn't have to, use a nail bat in order to actually progress. You know, the Buster Sword could still be your main weapon, and that was awesome. So I love that. Yes, the changing your costume and stuff or having different weapons is mainly just how would you like your character to look. I love that. I think it's awesome.
I do like the abilities, like the Traveler's attire.
Yeah.
Which like it reveals more of the map as you're going around, but like it also like the controller vibrates if you're near artifacts. So that's really good if you want to like collect everything and stuff. And then like another outfit might give you more health. Another outfit gives you more like better concentration when you're using your bows. So I like that as well.
Yeah.
But again,
you can swap them out mid battle as well.
Yeah. Exactly. And you don't need them to win the game. Like you can just wear them if you want to.
Is there a certain attire you find yourself wearing more and more?
For me, the Ronin one. Just because, firstly, it's a badass silhouette. It's like such an iconic samurai look, I think. But I also find because it increases your melee attack and also increases your stealth ability. So I think both of those are really handy to have.
Sorry, what was the other one you said?
This you can your stealth, it increases your stealth.
Sorry. I thought you meant there was another costume that you like as well.
I hop between that and the full armor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like the full samurai armor, because obviously increases your armor rating and health. But it's between those two for me.
I actually found between like just the first and second act and whatnot, I found myself most often wearing the Traveler's attire. So that I kind of just found myself like Jin Sakai is kind of like blending in with the people, so he's wearing like just these raggedy kind of robes and he's got like this cape on him. So that like
how ninja-like of you.
Yeah. But then like it depended on the mission. So if I was doing missions for a particular character, I might wear the armor. with them, and if I like with the Sensei characters, the bow, I'd use the outfit that gives me really good like concentration with the bow. Like, so it just depended on the
Kind of like
characters.
what you would do in Skyrim as well, right? You know, when you're just like, I'm
Yeah,
doing a
yeah,
Dark Brotherhood quest, I'm gonna wear my Dark Brotherhood costume, and when I'm
exactly.
doing a
Yeah, yeah.
Companions quest, I'm gonna wear my Companions costume. Yeah,
It
yeah,
just when I was just like roaming the area, just like getting collectibles and stuff, I'd wear the traveler's attire, just
yeah.
for several reasons. I look like the wandering character, wandering lone samurai, but then also it reveals more of the map, and then the controller vibrates if there's artifacts around. So I just found
I love that as well. You brought up something that like as you gain more techniques, and when it says like your legend grows, and it tells you what you're now known as in the lands, and like I love that. That's so cool. But I go for the Ronin costume the most as well. It's definitely my favorite one. I just think it looks the most I don't know. I think it just looks the most like the kind of romanticized samurai, you know, the one that I imagine in my head. Like even I just like the kind of wandering Ronin who's going to who goes town to town and takes on the people's problems. Like that really seems like one of those old classic samurai movies, which this is clearly paying homage to. Like even like without getting into the story too much, like there's an element of like collecting the seven samurai.
Yeah.
Or building up, you know, like there's so many, and sure there's the Akira Kurosawa mode that you can play the game in. That's insane. That's insane.
I often wore the Ronin outfit when doing like duels and stuff. You know those duels that are scattered throughout the map.
Duels.
Yeah, I'd wear the Ronin outfit with that just because of the romantic samurai idea. So I'd be wearing that outfit versus the other Ronin that I was fighting.
When that first happened, when I first had like a duel, I thought it was just this cinematic moment. I was like, wow, cool. This is cool. This is like making this fight kind of important. But that happens more, and you go, oh wow, this is fucking cool. I can't wait to do more of these. And they're like your little boss fights, but they're done as like these honorable duels. They're so cool. They're so cool. Just seeing his thumb like clip the sword out.
Yeah. It's definitely like this is the Japanese, I suppose, equivalent of like Red Dead Redemption. I know it's not a Japanese studio, but in terms of how it represents that kind of Wild West of Japan, nearly, that kind of take on it, where Red Dead is so clearly inspired by spaghetti western movies, that this is based on the Kurosawa, films. Yeah. And there is such a kind of a connection, nearly like they're nearly mirror images of each other. The cowboy, going in doing his duels, and the samurai walking into a town doing his duels. Like they're very, very similar.
Standoff thing. Like I always thought it was weird that a lot of westerns were inspired by old samurai movies. And some vice versa as well. And I was like, I don't see the connection at all. Like, one of them is about the sword and honor, and the other one is about guns and freedom, and I don't really see the connection. And yet, when I was playing this game, the parallels started to draw for me. Like, especially doing a duel, I was like, this is very like a standoff and waiting to see who draws first.
Yep.
And then the whole thing of like the wandering bounty hunter in a way kind of thing. And now I see it. I could see the parallels between them and how they inspired each other in sort of Hollywood culture.
Yeah.
It's fucking awesome. Let's talk very briefly about graphics. We have mentioned before graphics and music. Let's talk about those. So first of all, is there anything about the graphics we haven't said other than it's absolutely stunning and the nature is so alive?
I think if you look closely at things, it can look a little dated in comparison to some of the games like God of War, even Horizon in many ways. Like some of the textures are not great. Some of the character models up close don't look well, but it's just the full package. It's the full frame. It's everything together. It works so well, and it looks beautiful. Which is why I kind of compare it to Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild is very similar. It's like it's not necessarily great character models or great textures, but just the overall composition.
Stylization.
Yeah, it's beautiful. It really is. But I do think this has the best vegetation I've seen in any game. The grass looks stunning. Like I thought the grass looked good in The Last of Us. Holy shit. This is way better. Way better. And the fact that it's all
grass looks just like that. What are you doing?
But the way it's like everything moves in it, whether you
wanted to or not.
whether you walking through it and it'll move out of the way for when you're walking over it, or the wind actually blows it. It fucking blows my mind how they.
It also blows the grass.
It does blow the grass. Like, and the lighting is just next level, man.
I was gonna say that I mean all those things, like the vibrant colors of the flowers is incredible.
Yeah.
But the lighting is the best I've ever seen. Personally, I think like where I said in The Last of Us Part 2 that the sound it was the best I've heard in a game probably. This game, the lighting is unbelievable. The moonlight on the grass and on the mud and in puddles as you're riding on your horse is just insane. And then even when the sun is going down and you're like, dawn looks or dusk just looks just like that. And also I can't speak because I'm in awe.
So damn beautiful.
It's amazing.
I think the coastal areas are the only ones that feels at odds with the rest of the game in terms of its presentation.
Oh, yeah.
Like the beaches or
the ocean itself just looks really flat and even the Mongolian ships almost look like pieces of cardboard, just like kind of like it looks really, really odd, but the rest of the game is unbelievable looking.
How about you, Eric? Anything else on the graphics you want to say?
Well, actually, I want to say one thing. Does Jin Sakai move for use randomly without you even touching the controller? No.
I haven't experienced that.
That sounds like a dodgy joystick.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay,
but I have, but I will say I have experienced glitches.
I have experienced.
Oh yes, there are a few.
But I found them quite funny.
Yeah, they are. It's kind of, it reminded me of Skyrim.
Yeah.
It's not that bad, but
no, the only no, not as bad as Skyrim and not as memeable as Skyrim. But there was moments where I was like, I was trying to kill two guys with spears. I'll just say, and they were like just bouncing up and down, like repeatedly, and I was like, what the fuck are you doing? And I was like walking around them, and I was changing stance and everything, and they were still just hopping up, like they weren't trying to attack me or anything. And I was like, okay, I'll just try moving on. And it was like, you cannot leave this area until you kill all enemies. I was like, what the hell? So then I went back to try and kill them. And then they were moving away from me, but still bouncing up and down. And I was like, come back here. I'll fucking kill you. It was ridiculous. I should have captured it. I didn't capture it because at the time I was just like, I thought it was just a random fight. Like,
I haven't experienced anything like that yet. I have experience with you. As for graphics, I mean, as Adam said, the character models aren't the best ever, but I do the stylization of it just makes it such a unique feeling game. I think the choice of colors and texture, and there's something almost like a painting about it. Yeah, I mean, it's not photorealistic. It's like you look at it, it's like this is very clearly a painting and it's beautiful. But I think
it's like walking around someone's Instagram photo.
Only more interesting.
Everything is super overexposed and super bright and super light,
Yeah. I think actually, speaking of, one of the times that really got me, I went into a forest called the Golden Forest, and I was just
beautiful.
Oh my god, I didn't know such a place could exist, where all trees just had golden leaves and stuff. Or even when you go through, I think there's another forest that has just red leaves. Like just these not even like autumn or fall red leaves, just bright, vibrant red leaves. That again, I was like, how are these a thing? Are these like genetically made altered trees? Like what the fuck? And then just like all the leaves just blanketing the ground and stuff. It's just beautiful. It's just like
tear up.
No, I didn't tear up. I have not teared up.
That'll be the measure of this game. By the end of it, if you've teared up.
Yeah.
I'm only joking.
Have I actually? I might have.
I often do. What was it for again? How about the music then to the game?
I haven't quite. It's really appropriate, I think. But nothing has stood out to me yet. But when I do things like the haikus, for example, and you have that kind of almost like a hymn, stuff like that I think is really, really cool. Like it sells the location, and you feel like you're in Japan, I think.
Yeah.
Or at least how I imagine being in a Japanese culture back then would be like. But there's no kind of like main theme tune that I can recognize. That's all.
Yeah.
For me, the one that really gets me is like the epic battle music.
Yeah.
Really cool. I think it's I think it first might kick in at the end of Act 1, and then it'll kick in again. I can't really obviously hum the tune or anything, but it's just this epic battle music that just really gets me in the mood to protect Tsushima, and it's just like I haven't experienced something like that in a while as well. Like Final Fantasy 7 obviously did it to me, but I didn't really have anything in
spades.
Huh?
It did it in spades.
It did do it in spades, but this did it in clubs. It was awesome. It's so good. Yes, the music is just, the sounds are so good. So good. I put in the words.
I find, again, there isn't like...
I could write a haiku about it if I wanted to, but I couldn't put in the actual words.
There isn't like a standout track, or there isn't like standout tracks to me to the point where it's like I need to put that on my phone. I'm going to listen to it later on. But it definitely gets you in the mood. It's definitely right for the world. Every time I hear like the Japanese flute, it just feels right. You know what I mean? It just feels so in tone with the world and
phrasing.
What?
Phrasing.
Every time. Hey, don't say the skin flute. I'm trying to talk about a beautiful moment, and you've ruined it, man.
But speaking of the instruments that you can play,
oh yeah, you have a flute you can play.
Yeah, you have.
Oh, you were right. One of you was saying you can change the weather with it.
Yeah, you can.
What?
That's
you
mental.
can?
Yeah.
If you play it changes.
I didn't realize you could, but
it does slowly, but it changes the weather.
Oh my God.
So if you actually, so again, and that kind of helps with the whole photo mode thing or video mode. If you're like, I really want to show off, like maybe you have a friend over or whatever, or you want to capture footage, you go, I really want to show off what it's like when it's stormy. Right, I'm gonna take out my flute now and change the weather. What? That's what you can do.
I'm sorry, I just I just whip my flute out, and there comes the sun.
That's so immature, man.
I know.
Your flute.
I love it. Like when you go to cemeteries, you can collect the singing crickets and collect enough, and then you unlock new songs to play.
What the fuck? It's so cool.
Yeah, it is cool.
It's just so.
Why can't real music be like that? Why can't I just go to the cemetery, get some
whip out my flute? There's just so much game in this game. You know what I mean? You know what I mean, bro?
Yeah, bro. I stand by. Like, this is honestly the best Assassin's Creed Ubisoft never made.
Yes.
Because it is the Assassin's Creed I've been wanting, and there's definite comparisons that can be made between the two.
Absolutely, yeah. And I would say Assassin's Creed is another influence on the game.
Yeah.
Definitely.
But I've been wanting for so long for them to do an Assassin's game in Japan, like, and here they have it, and it even has the storyline, I guess, that I would want from an Assassin's Creed game. You know, like my favorite Assassin's Creed is still the first one, even though the gameplay is not great.
Yeah.
But it's about the creed, and they completely just like forget about that in later games.
Yeah, you don't even have to be an assassin in later games.
No.
They'll just give you a hidden blade as a weapon. You're not necessarily an assassin at all.
Whereas the entirety of the fort.
You know, he's this honorable samurai who has this code of honor that he sticks with. And although he's fighting an enemy that doesn't have the same code. So he has to change his ways and become more ninja-like and become an assassin nearly.
Yes.
Which is a difficult thing for him to accept. It's
Yes.
like that's what I want from Assassin's Creed. Like,
we'll actually use that now to segue into talking about the story. But just before we do, I do feel like this game that you can draw comparisons with Horizon, not only because of the kind of open world game and the bright colors and everything, but also I feel like Sucker Punch have just really, really upped their game incredibly to the point where now it's like, I want to work with that studio, or I want to buy whatever else they put out. The same point. It's like, Guerrilla made Killzone, fun games, cool games everyone can get around and play. But Horizon was a whole different. It's like, whoa, fuck, we didn't even know you could make a game like this. And this feels like that, where it's like, yeah, you could maybe like the Infamous series. Yeah, they're fun games, they're cool games. You get to electric powers and shit. But this is like, whoa, Sucker Punch, where were you hiding this talent? You know what I mean? Like, this is fucking incredible. Now, maybe people prefer Infamous. I don't know. If you do, you're nuts. This is crazy. This is insane. Anyway, let's use that to segue into talking about the story. So we're going to talk spoilers from now on, but only up until Act 1. So if you're in the middle of playing the game just like us, and you've finished Act 1, which is the mission to save your uncle, right? Once you've done that, you have completed Act 1. If you have played that or beyond, if you finished it, you can continue to our thoughts. But if this is something you don't want ruined on you, just a quick heads up that there's going to be spoilers for the first act of the game from here on out. So yeah, the general story, which Adam, you were alluding to there. How do people feel about the kind of general story, the situation, and the character of Jin Sakai?
I'm not hugely invested in him as a character. I don't feel like it's a character-driven game, but that's fine. It doesn't have to be. It's very much about trying to be the best samurai you can be, but then it's also that conflict of, well, this way is not going to save Tsushima. So I need to get the help of other people that are teaching different techniques, and it's very like Assassin's Creed 2 in that way, where it's like the character is like learning from different people to become the best he can be to save or avenge his family. So I don't necessarily find that I'm wanting to get on with the main story arcs, but that mission where you do go to save your uncle is so good. It's really good, because I didn't really like the opening of the game, I have to say.
Yeah.
For me, it's when the title sequence comes up and it just opens out. Because the first thing I did is I went straight to the middle of the lake, and I think it was either a shrine or it was a bandana. I can't remember. It was just something. It was a collectible. The first thing I did was a collectible, and I was like, yeah, I'm all about this. This is my type of game.
This is my jam.
Yeah.
This is my jam.
But I did a few of the main quests, and then you do the side quests or whatever, and like the Ronin side quests I thought were kind of boring. And I was just like, oh yeah, whatever, I'll just recruiting this guy. And then you go do the main quest, and he hasn't showed up, and you're like, oh, that dickhead anyway, I helped him and he didn't help me. And then you walk in, and there he is, standing in your way. Turns out there's a bounty on your head. The Ronin is very hungry, and he stands. You have a standoff with him, and it's like, I did not see this coming. This is so cool.
To me, right? Yes, that's like, to me, the writing for the main quest was kind of particularly bland, and was actually stronger on the side quest stuff for me, right? In that I was like, yeah, okay, the evil Mongols come. They've taken over, fight the Mongols. That's pretty much it. There's nothing really in-depth or complicated about it until that moment. And like, you're doing the side quests with him, Ryozo, I think I could butcher the pronunciations of the names. My apologies. Not used to using them, to be honest. But
the Straw Hat Ronin.
The Straw Hat Ronin, I think it is Ryozo. He's like, they talk about how he used to be, they were childhood friends, but you kind of bet him up. and he was sort of dishonored by the culture of it all, and his men don't really even look up to him all that much. They're struggling to get by. This is just doing side questy stuff. He's just making conversation, and he's talking about how, we're all really hungry and we're trying to get food, and the Mongols have taken our food and everything. And then that moment when you realize that wasn't just little dialogue, that was all set up for this kind of twist.
Yeah.
In that the Ronin have now turned against you. And he's kind of doing what you're doing, which is abandoning the code in order to survive.
Yeah.
It's fucking awesome. Like, there's a follow-up. Obviously, if you've done Act 1, you've seen the follow-up cutscene where he burns. Like, he's probably the most complicated character in the game so far that I've experienced. That scene where he burns a fellow Japanese man.
Yeah, that's really good.
And then he begs them to open. You can actually hear it in him. Like, he's like, I don't want to do this. Please open the door.
Yeah.
But he's on the side of the villains. And that makes him a very complicated character. I think he's fucking awesome.
And the fact that they give you that so early as well, and he's only one of many characters in the game that, we can kind of expect more of that kind of stuff happening.
Depth to come, yeah, from some of the other characters too. Eric, how do you feel about the Straw Hat Ronin?
Oh no, yeah, I was on the same page with you. Like, I was like, oh, cool, getting a friend, getting a Ronin, we're gonna storm this castle, it's gonna be awesome. And then like they didn't show up, and you get that option to have like an opinion of like, I think it's like Yuna or something, your thief friend. She asked you, it's like, oh, what do you think about them not showing up? You can even be like, oh, I understand, they're starving, or you can be like, oh, they're arseholes. And I went with well, I'm samurai, so I would say that they're arseholes because it's a dishonorable thing to do. Yeah. And then I was fighting through, and they got the music playing. I was saving my uncle. It was awesome. And then going through the door and seeing it, I'm like, oh, you son of a bitch. Okay, let's do this. That was and he's a really good character. Yeah, Ryoza is a very good character. Most of them are, because even with the side missions, Sensei, Ishikawa, and Masako, when you're helping those two, their stories are really cool, and they're really good characters as well, really fleshed out and everything.
Let's talk about them actually while we're here. Lady Masako, let's go with her first. She
badass.
I love that she's just determined. Like, Jin Sakai is literally trying to talk some sense into her, which is that if you actually want to find the people responsible, you're going to have to leave one of these people alive and actually talk to them.
Yeah.
And she's just murdering everyone in her path. Like, she's just purely on a revenge quest. She's so fucking cool.
Yeah. But like,
is she
really...
the one in the reveal thing?
Yeah, she was in the trailer.
I forgot who that was. Tell me no more. I
Okay.
forgot all about that because I know.
Apologies.
Because I was like, I know that at some point something's gonna happen with one of them. I don't really want to know who it is yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I just love, because again, it's that revenge quest that, like, obviously The Last of Us 2 was all about, and it's just the really reinforcing the motivation of when you lose family to such a brutal act that you will lose all reason, and revenge and anger and vengeance will just consume you.
Yeah, no, I like that there seems to be a whole theme throughout this game in terms of its story, in that everyone who is of this amazing romantic samurai code is
flawed.
Is like falling away from it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, this is how to be a better human, but how do you remain a better human when you're faced with trauma and difficulties, and if being a better human becomes restrictive in terms of actually, so for like Jin's character, it's like, if I just follow the samurai way, I'm going to lose.
Yeah.
But I did have a moment though where because I was kind of just doing it, and I was like, yeah, it's a bit weird that he's just openly doing all these ghost techniques now. But then I assassinated someone, like,
you get the flashback.
Not just the flashback, right? Because the flashback was the first moment you do an assassination. That's the first time you do it. But I was just playing.
No, there's another one, yeah?
Yeah.
What was there? I didn't get another flashback.
Oh,
I don't think.
I got one on just a random, like I'd killed 3 people, and then I randomly killed another guy, and I suddenly got a flashback.
Oh wait, maybe I did
Like-
actually. No, I just had a moment where he just said dialogue. He says, "This just isn't right." He just says it. in the
Yeah.
game.
Oh, I do
No,
remember that one.
It's
as
not
well,
like
yeah.
a flashback. It's just he's just saying it. And Brian, who we had on for the Final Fantasy episode, he said to me that he read somewhere and he doesn't know if it's true because he's not far yet. I don't think he's even completed Act 1. But if it is, like, judging by Infamous and what they did with Infamous, this could be true. That he says
Sure.
if you do more ghost techniques, it seems as though there's more thunder and rain around as you do it.
Oh.
It's
That-
like the world starts to get a little bit darker the more you go down this dishonorable road.
That's very interesting because
I wouldn't
I
be
am
surprised.
encountering lots of lightning and thunderstorms,
Same.
and I'm going, they're showing up an awful lot.
Yeah.
That's
so
really
it
interesting.
could
That's
be
very-
that the Japan itself is changing as you do, as opposed to in Infamous your character changed when you did different acts.
Yeah, your lightning changes color and stuff, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, your outfit changes color, and then people will treat you with either likes or disrespect, depending.
Yeah. That's fucking
Um,
cool. I kind of.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that was the thing, like, which
Yeah.
I think is great because it's not so in your face. You know, with Infamous, it would have been Infamous and Mass Effect. They would have been really in your face.
Yeah, it's
This
like,
was a
here's
good
the
option.
good and here's the bad. Yeah.
But at least with this, it's very like depending on what you choose. So I must be way more samurai because I hear thunder in the background, but I'm actually quite sunny in Japan.
Happy days.
Happy days. In
How do you
Japan.
guys feel about the character of Sensei Ishikawa?
So good. He's so cool.
I really like him though. I can't remember, there was a dialogue that I had with him recently in the game, that he was like making some sort of analogy, and it got to a point where he just pretty much said straight up, "Look, don't ever question me again," kind of thing. I
Yeah.
can't remember what the
I had
dialogue
a
was,
moment
but it
with
was
this.
fucking badass.
Yeah. It was something along the lines of, and I don't know if this takes place in Act 1, but it's just a bit about his character. It's not like, I won't say what he does or what happens, but it's something to the effect of, Jin, you're an honorable man and a good warrior. You'd make a good leader, but don't you ever question me again.
yeah, it's something like that.
And I was like,
Yeah.
I actually put the controller down. I went, oh shit. I
Yeah.
think he's my favorite character of the characters I've gotten to know so far.
Yeah.
I think his lines are delivered so well, and also he's very much a do as I say, not as I do,
Yeah.
and let me try pick up from my failures, and it's okay for me to make these mistakes, but you can't make these mistakes.
Yeah.
But
there's
not
like
the
a
way of like, I'm trying to teach you. It's that whole thing of like, Batman does it too, where Batman's like, these are rules, and if you can't follow these rules, then you're not a good superhero. But I break the rules all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's
There's
a
level
flawed
of
thing.
hypocrisy with him.
Yeah, and like a sense of like over controlling nearly.
Yeah, or
And that's what's
ownership of the code nearly.
That's what's bothering him the most, I think, is that his apprentice, who he's trying to hunt down, that he has no control over her now,
Yeah.
and she, and that's really what's getting to him more than anything, nearly. Eric, did you recognize who he was, the voice
Oh,
actor?
of course I did.
Did you? Because I was like, I can't place the voice. I had to look it up. I was like, I know that voice. But
He is also in XCOM.
Oh, is he?
He's in XCOM as well, yeah, but he's in Lost.
Yes.
He's the Doctor in Lost, yes.
Yeah.
Tells
Great.
you what.
He has a great voice and he's a great performance.
Oh, it works so well. I was like, I
Yeah.
definitely know who this is, but I could not place him. I ended up looking it up, and I was like, holy shit, that's great. But yeah, he's an amazing character. I think he's so cool.
Yeah.
There's a bit as well where he's talking about because I think Jin tries to call him out on some of his hypocrisies, and he's always trying to justify. Like, there's a lot of contradictions with the character, and he talks about it's like, you're giving about your apprentice being such a killer, but you're a killer too. And then he's like, you can use the bow for more than just killing. It's not about, there's something
Yeah,
like,
that was the dialogue actually, where he's talking about like, I use my arrowhead when I don't have a knife. I use my string to tie up or something like that.
Yeah, something like that.
And it was like
not just-
he was like something along the lines of like, oh, so what you're saying is your bow isn't a weapon, and then he said, and a samurai isn't a killer.
Yes, that's the line.
Yeah, it's something
I was
along like that. Like
that's
it was fucking amazing
that's
dialogue.
that's
Yeah.
that kind of like yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
As
So you expect that from a sensei.
There's a series I watch called My Friend Watches by a guy called Holden Hardman, and he gets his friend to watch all these big sci-fi movies and stuff that like it's like, how have you never seen the likes of Star Wars, or how have you never seen a Marvel movie? And so then they watch the whole series and you get to see his reactions to it as it goes along. But he has I don't know if he came up with it, I don't know who came up with it, but they have a phrase called bygone Jim moments. It's because he took to calling Qui-Gon Jinn Bygone Jim, because it started with Star Wars, and so ever since then, every single movie, anytime someone says something really wise or a great bit like a wisdom bomb, they call it a Bygone Jim moment. Yeah. And so I that's what I thought of when he said that. I was like, that's a Bygone Jim moment right there. It's like that's a piece of lovely. Take that home with you.
Yeah.
And yeah, he uses that as a criticism. If a movie has no Bygone Jim moments, it's not a very good movie. So good series.
I love there's some of the like smaller quests as well, which is just not like character quests or not main quests. It might be like, oh, my family was seen up that way and I think there was Mongols, and then you go to try and examine the area, and it turns out like the dude's family was ended up being like slaughtered. And that kind of stuff happens a few times, which is so unlike these type of games. Normally, you're the hero and you save them and you bring them back to the family. In actual fact, a lot of these guys, their families end up dying. You have to go back and let them know, I'm sorry, they're dead. And what I love about that is, like, you don't have any time to learn about this dude or their family. But when I came across, like, what would be bodies with the cloth over them, like, I'm just like, oh, no. Like, there's something, it's like the characters in this game don't feel very individual. Like, it almost feels like Japan in itself is like united. It's like what happens to one Japanese person is like a loss to all of Japan nearly.
Yeah. Well, I even like, it's reflected as well even in like the ability to be able to bow.
Yes.
Whatever you want to whoever you want, and like if he bows to dead people, he'll say like, may you rest in peace, and I hope you died with honor, and things like this. Actually, we didn't talk about the use of the touchpad is.
Oh yeah.
It's wow.
The only thing I could think of when I was using it, actually, I was like, this is actually how you get Adam very excited about a game, is if you utilize every aspect of the controller for different things.
Definitely.
I mean, they absolutely did. Like,
it's so true though. No, it is true.
Yeah. Like, it'd be like making a Switch game and not using like any of the Switch's functions. It'd be like, well, then why the fuck is it on the Switch? It's like,
exactly.
I love when games utilize the full like tool set that are there, because in many ways like that trackpad did seem really gimmicky, but this is a situation where no, it's not. Like
what's exciting to me is now that they've used it in such a clever way, and some other games did do it, but like in this, like it seems very like you actually do use it a lot, whether it's just for trying to traverse or putting your sword away really cool, or changing the weather, or fucking bowing to show your respect. The trackpad is going over to PS5 too. Yeah. And so I feel like they'll be using it a lot more now. So I'm really excited to see how they use it, how it transfers over to the next generation of console.
Back to story elements and characters. At the start of the game, right? And you have the samurai, the 80 samurai, they're standing there looking at the giant Mongol army. And then they sent down Lord Adachi to fight, and then obviously for story purposes they have Khotan Khan, the main antagonist of the game, dishonorably kills him by burning him alive. Right, it's just obviously didn't show that these guys, but actually I think in historical events the samurai did do that. They sent down one samurai to face one Mongol champion, but because the Mongols were not aware that this was a thing, and they weren't used to the whole like one-on-one fights. So this one samurai warrior came down, and then all the Mongols just went in at him and killed him. It's just a group attack because they're like.
And then, as far as the samurai were concerned, then they're like, these guys are animals.
These are monsters. How
that's kind of like throughout this game as well. It's like the way they fight is so different. It's a clash of like not just culture and style, but ideology. It is, and you have to, in order to fight this new enemy, you have to break your code, kind of.
Yeah,
I do like Koten Khan, especially like the minute when I think it was at the start again, all the samurai defeated. Lord Shimura was on his knees, and he goes up to him and he's like, while you were sharpening your blade, I learned your language. I know which villages to burn and pillage and which to usurp.
He's a bit of he's almost like Bane from Batman.
I like his dialogue is really good, and I think he delivers it well in terms of like, he's like, I don't have a big evil voice. I'm just a natural, calm leader of my people. I'm not too crazy on his character model, but then maybe that's historically accurate,
like,
you know?
Well, he looks like the kind of like Benedict Wong's version of Kublai Khan in Marco Polo. Yeah. He does look like that, so that is kind of the style that the hairstyle they had and everything.
There's a painting of him that does look like that.
The only reason I'd be concerned about, like, so again, I like the way his character's being portrayed. I'm just concerned when your main villain is a figure from history. Because I feel like if you make up the character, you have total freedom and liberty what you do with them. Like, are they going to rewrite history and you get to kill him? Or is it unknown how Koten Khan died in history and they're like, oh, we could fill in that blank in a cool fiction? You know that way? Like, it was weird.
Most of the entire thing is the most of the entire story is quite fictitious anyway.
Oh, no, I know that, yeah. That's why I feel I think I would prefer just a Mongol general. Possibly.
Yeah, because I as far as I know in history, the Mongols retreated.
Yeah, a storm came and wiped out all their ships.
But I, as Jin Sakai, would really like to kill that fucker.
That would be fucking awesome.
What?
Like you're saying that like a storm came and like you becoming the ghost is making the place more thunderous.
Oh,
bruh.
Oh, I don't know how this is.
I don't want to get hyped up. I don't want to get hyped up.
Might have predicted the end. That'd be awesome. Sick. That'd be lit, like the sky.
That'd be fucking flames, bro.
Bra.
That would slap.
That would absolutely flap. That's my only issue with Koten Khan. I like his portrayal, but I'm just a bit worried when there's a historical figure that's being the villain in the actual game. I'm like, I feel like he's got to get away or something, and I feel like it'll...
Historically, he should.
But for the purposes of the story, I feel like I should kill him in a final boss fight. Because...
yourself,
not because...
you dishonored your uncle.
Oh my god, that'd be so good. I feel like we should kill him because we lost that fight against him on the bridge.
Yeah.
And so, much like the Bane Batman thing, he bet you're building yourself up to finally take him on again and defeat him.
Only this is like a better story than when it comes to like building yourself up. Because in the
longer, I suppose.
In Dark Knight Rises, it's just, he bet me. Okay, I'll climb out of a prison and now I can fight him. All right, you changed nothing about you here, Batman. How are you winning all of a sudden?
Yes, he did.
At least in this, actually. What?
Yes, he did.
I think, and I agree with you to some level. It's not portrayed very well, but the idea is that he learned in the prison that the mask was the weakness.
Yeah, I know, I got that.
Exposed the weakness.
At least
on a physical sense, but in the off tangent now, we're talking about Batman.
Right.
But like
he does push-ups and shit.
He regained his fear. That's what he lost, was his fear. It's the fear that always made him win.
Yeah. So when he was fighting Bane the first time, he didn't care. Wasn't that what it was, really?
Yeah, because he couldn't get out of the prison because of with the rope, he knew that he couldn't die. There was no fear of dying. But when he removed the rope, there is the fear of death, which is why he succeeded.
Deep, man. That's deep.
Bruh.
I mean, It's the movie.
That's exactly what happened. It's as deep as the well, really.
Yeah.
Where were we?
I don't know. I want to say about photo mode. This is absolutely the best implementation of photo mode in a PS4 game. Have you used it?
I messed around. I messed around with it one time.
In most games, yeah, you'd have to access it or turn it on through the options menu. But this is on constantly. You just have to press right on the D-pad. That's it.
Yeah,
you activate it.
That's right.
But the frame will stay still, but the weather and all still keeps moving, and the music stays there.
And so you can summon stuff. You can like summon birds or leaves, and you can increase the wind and stuff.
Yeah, you can change what the particles are.
Yeah.
You can change how many there is. You can change the direction of them. You can change the weather, the time of day. You can add filters. You can change depth of field. You can change the camera angle. You can change the zoom. You can change his expression. It's fucking crazy the amount of shit you can do in it.
That's amazing. They've just sort of perfected each element that they needed to perfect, didn't they? Yeah, that reaction is the best reaction to like when a game is just unbelievable. We've talked about the sort of main story up to a point, and we've talked about some of the characters involved and also side quests. I love that there's different types of side quests, and I tell you about those different types of quests. And one of them is the Mythic Quests.
Amazing.
So fucking good. Like, I love that you meet a bard and he tells you the story of something, and it goes into that amazing Japanese traditional art style, tells it this cool badass story, and then based on that story you have to find like the actual facts, and then you will get some cool gear or some cool fucking collectible out of it. It's amazing. The Heavenly Strike quest.
That is actually
which is within the first act.
So good.
The fucking ring of swords around you, as they are attracting lightning from a lightning storm, and you're fighting this dude.
Yeah.
Incredible. And then you'll learn this amazing move, which is a godsend in certain boss fights.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's good. Yeah, everything about that presentation was just amazing, because I wasn't too mad on the one-on-one fights, to be honest, until that point.
Did you do the one at the guy? Sorry, just before getting into some of the Mythic Quests, did you do the one at the guy where, like, it builds it up, and you have to fight him, and he runs
away?
Oh yeah. And he goes, "I was right there."
Yeah.
He's like, "I'll fight you," but then because you're really gonna do it, he like shits himself.
He's a guy pretending to be a samurai.
Yeah. And he's like living.
That was a class one.
I thought that was a really funny little side quest, because then he's like, I better tell those women, because he has them. It's like he's a mastermind and they're living under him. And then when you go back, she's like, "Oh, we know. Yeah, we're just." And then it turns out that they're actually kind of in control of him, really, because they're like, yeah, we were just sort of playing it up, letting him live his little fantasy.
Yeah, it's like poor love.
Yeah, it was funny having that lad around. I was like, oh, that's really good.
Yeah, that was a good entertaining one. Yeah.
But there's another Mythic Quest that you do. I think it's you get the bow. You get a bow, and you enter this like hallucination or something.
Yeah.
Bats and shit, and you fight this guy, and he ends up looking like an actual demon. And I was kind of waiting for there to be some kind of an explanation, as opposed like that when you lifted it, it like released some sort of gas or smoke or something.
Did it?
I think it did, but it doesn't really acknowledge it. But that was like a really cool moment where it's like, as far as Jin is concerned, he fought a demon.
Yeah, it kind of reminds you of the Baba Yaga
sequence in Rise of the Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's like a DLC side quest, but like you go.
That's the second one, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the Baba Yaga obviously being the Russian version of the Boogeyman, and you're like kind of, I suppose, hunting it down, or there's just tales of it, but it's a similar thing where you get a hallucination. So when you see, it's actually just a hermit basically wanting to survive.
Yeah. And
they're kind of using this as a method to kind of keep people away.
Very cool. I love shit like that.
Yeah,
I think in the hallucination you do see the Baba Yaga's house on the chicken legs. People had weird ideas for things, for myths, like, what's scary? I don't know, a house with chicken legs. Oh, that's terrifying.
I mean, in fairness, if a house of chicken legs is trying to kill you, Eric.
It was a pretty big house with pretty big chicken legs. Can you imagine first saying it though? Someone would be like, chicken legs? Like honestly, the little tiny itty bitty things they're holding up a house. It's like, no man, they're huge. Huge chicken legs.
Huge.
Yeah, these Russians are from Scotland.
I like as well with the Mythic Quest, you get the map thing, and you have to try and figure out where that. It's like a treasure hunt.
That's
Yeah,
very like Red Dead, actually.
Oh yeah.
Only easier with their treasure maps.
Way easier. Red Dead, I don't know if I've ever completed one of them.
I had to look it up. I had to go on the interwebs.
Yeah.
To find.
Oh, thank God for that interwebs, huh?
Stop.
Walkthroughs.
That's the one thing I like about this. Like, it's definitely one I'll be interested in trying to platinum, depending on how much time I have. But I don't think I'm going to need a guide of any kind.
No.
Because you can get there's skill points you can get that when you
which lead you to things.
It'll lead you to those particular things that you want to collect.
Yeah.
You can use the wind to like that's.
And you can use the traveler's attire to find the scrolls then as well.
Yeah.
It's so good. I actually find that this game is incredibly rewarding. I love that progression thing of like every time you do a quest, you'll learn a new skill or you'll gain a new bit of equipment. And your legend grows as well, which is another cool thing. It's immediately rewarding. It's not like you got to play it for a very long time before you get kind of any kind of feeling of progress. Every time you do something at all, and there's something around every corner nearly. I love it, and it's quite sometimes simple is better. It's quite simplified in that do a quest and level up.
Yeah.
No need for any big, mad, complicated.
It's a bit like games like Destiny in that way. The level up, and Skyrim actually, I felt that the leveling up in that was quite quick. And rewarding. Yeah. And you're just like, oh yeah, but I'm only this far away from the thingy, so I'll just play a little bit more. I was like doing that the other night with Ghost of Tsushima. I only had like 3 more counters to build up my legend, so I was just running around trying to find people to fight, basically, to at the same time trying to collect swords and bandanas and things like that as well, and then just slowly building that up.
Archers are the fucking worst, aren't they?
They're
in a fight scenario.
Yeah,
and you're changing your stance, and you just hear that, Duh! And then a fucking arrow hits, and you go, "Fuck you anyway! Right in the middle of something. Fuck off! I don't have time to be dodging you as well."
In the middle of the knee.
Come on.
They get more. They'll get more annoying later on.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks.
They're
great.
Because they start to like fire 3 arrows at once.
Oh no, I've encountered.
You ran into them. Okay.
Yeah. They've been.
They get.
That's the samurai way.
They get more annoying.
Yeah. There was something else I wanted to say. Game's rewarding. Games stances is cool.
Stances are cool.
That's the bit where, like, because I wasn't mad on gameplay at the beginning. I think it takes a while for you to get used to it, which I think is.
I think it's true.
It's like you kind of progress with the character nearly, like, because your character's not great. You know, he only knows a certain amount of things, and enemies are kind of difficult. But then as you get better, your character gets better. Enemies become easier. But the stances is what sold it on me. Like, I remember, like, when we used to do Aido, and there are specific kind of stances and forms you take depending on like what your enemy is doing and what the stance they're taking and stuff like that in order for you to counteract. And the fact that they put that in this game and you have to change your stance depending on what your enemy is wielding and stuff, I was just like, holy shit. And you could change it mid-fight. Like, that is so fucking cool. Like, it's almost like a game of chess nearly.
Yeah. It's awesome. I have to say as well, I actually, we were talking about some of the other characters and that. I love the little dude Kenji.
Yeah,
I think he's funny, and he's a little fucker, like, you know, he's an absolute chancer, like.
Yeah, he's that little prick that you went to school with as well, you know.
Yeah, but he, which one? But
he's just, we all knew a Kenji.
You're some fucking Kenji, man. But He reminds me of. There's always a character like him in those movies.
There is, yeah.
That
Because
kind
again,
of
yeah, even if you take the
overly
westerns,
friendly, trying to sell you stuff kind of character. He's straight out of one of those movies, like the merchant who follows the samurai around, and
Yeah.
but like even in the westerns, you would have had that kind of like the snake oil merchant guy.
yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
like
Yeah,
very
it's that kind of
clearly
thing.
the con artist, like
Yeah,
selling shit that ain't gonna work. They're always in like samurai films as well.
he's
I think
really good.
I think Kurosawa has that kind of character in a few of them. Just a guy who kind of talks shit up, like he's a bit of an entertainer who gets people into trouble.
Eric, I don't think you actually said how you feel about Jin as a character, actually.
At first, he is a bit kind of bland,
Yeah.
but as the game progresses and the conflict of knowing he has to change does become way more interesting
Okay.
for him and how everyone interacts with him and the kind of impact he has on people as he's progressing into the ghost, as they call him in the game.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, first he's like the honorable samurai, and they're like, okay, fair enough. But then just as he more and more develops these new techniques and skills, which are not the samurai way, like some people are look at him as the hopeful person that they need, and then other characters are a bit like, hang on now, what are you doing? You stop. That's bad now. So it's just really interesting.
I sort of view him as sort of like your doorway into the world. You know, just through him. So he, like, in some ways he's a bit bland in that, like, what he's going through is complicated, but he doesn't seem terribly complicated. Even though you do get some elements of his backstory, he doesn't seem as conflicted or as multi-layered as someone like Joel, for example, right? But that's not what they're going for, and it doesn't need that. So he definitely services the story. I don't hate him in any way as a protagonist. I have definitely played as far worse, and he wouldn't be in any way unbearable. He's totally fine. I don't think he elevates to a point of like incredible protagonist. No. But I think he serves the world of the game.
Well, see, yeah, fine. For him, it's not. He's not going to be conflicted because of what he's seeing. He is always constantly justifying what he is doing.
Yeah.
So it's the extent of like when Joel was going through his 20 years of the apocalypse, all the horrible stuff he's done, he would have always justified doing that.
Yes.
To survive. So like for Jin, we haven't got to the point when he is going to regret, or at least I haven't anyway, and obviously you haven't.
Yeah, it's like he's not the age of Ishikawa yet, who's a character you can see has regrets, stuff, has conflicts, and has
So at the moment, Jin is constantly just like, no, I'll do this. This is what I'll do, and then I'll stop doing it once it's done.
Yeah.
But there is that level of he's really starting, as you play the game more and more, he is starting to enjoy being this. That for him, like, this seems to be working.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Before we finish up, and again, this is only an initial review, sort of our thoughts on the game, with where we are at the moment. And when we finish it, we will do a final review, and we'll probably do a rating breakdown thing again, like we did The Last of Us, see how we fall for it. But just where you are at the moment, and obviously, the overall package can change how you feel. Like if it so happens that the last 3 hours of the game are total shite that make you not want to finish it, and you end up putting the controller in and go, fuck this game, that could actually sour you. But where it stands at the moment, without going into each thing, out of 10 roughly, where do you feel you are with it at the moment? And because then we can do a comparison thing when we break it down proper after we've actually finished the game. So, Eric, would you like me to come to you first there?
I'll do a 9.9. Yes. Never a 10.
No, really? No, but seriously though.
Oh, definitely really fucking high.
I would definitely give it a really.
I don't know that number.
Out of 10. Yeah. What's that one?
Yeah, it's just a really high number. So it's like for the average person.
What are you feeling, Eric? You haven't broken it down yet. Just out of feel, where do you think?
I think it's really high. I think it's really good. It's great with cube shape. And the average person would give it like a 10 out of 10. So like I'll give like a 9 out of 10 because I'm not the average person, but you know, pretty much that.
So you at the moment you're feeling a 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
Okay. Adam?
Yeah, I'm also thinking maybe a 9. I'm thinking around that. I don't know yet because I haven't broken it down, but my initial impressions is probably a 9 out of 10.
Yeah, well, where I am at the moment, I'm thinking an 8 or a 9 out of 10, leaning more towards a 9. But yeah, we'll have to see when we finished it and then when we break it down properly what it's going to be like. But at the moment, that's how we feel about the Ghost of Tsushima. And when we finished it, we will do a final review of the game to talk about the story as a whole. And also, then we'll do a proper breakdown and see where it actually falls in our rating. But if you've been playing Ghost of Tsushima, please do get in touch to let us know. If you're on YouTube, you can jump into the comments to let us know what you think of the game. And then you can also message us on Twitter and on Facebook at The Brothers Take. We would love to hear what people think about the game. We'd love to even get like shared photos. Like that photo mode that the guys are talking about is unreal. And so if you've been capturing footage or getting photos of Ghost of Tsushima, like I even love looking at people's ones on like Twitter and just being like, wow, that looks incredible. And lots of people are able to get lots of really unique ones because depending on where they are in the game at a certain spot, the lighting is a certain way and the weather is a certain way, you know, because it changes. I could have been at that spot and it wouldn't look the same. So that's incredible. So if you have photos it takes, do send them in. Let us know everything you think about the game. And we will be back to talk about Ghost of Tsushima in the future. Bye!
Bye-bye now.
Bye bye.